Hello! In this video I'm going to be walking you through sewing some pirate themed costumes for Fantasy Forest. Now this is going to be a bit of a journey video. The part where I sewed all of the costumes was filmed over a year ago, and they were the costumes that we wore to Fantasy Forest 2025. I did rewear the same costumes, both myself and my son, we rewore the same costumes for 2026. So it's still relevant, but you'll notice my hair gets significantly shorter in the sewing video. So that's just a little explanation about why that happens. But if you're not interested in any of the sewing parts, fair enough. If you want to just skip ahead to the review of Fantasy Forest Sudeley, you can do that at the timestamp that I put here. I have been going to Fantasy Forest for the past 5 years. I think this was our 5th year going to the festival. 2nd year camping, and the previous years, like the first several times we went, was just day ticket. From the year of the storm, it emerged that pirates gather on the Friday because Ye Banished Privateers did some not private, but to anyone who was there camping and anyone who was there at the festival, they just sang pirate songs around fire. I don't know if it was around fire. I wasn't actually there. This is just hearsay at this point. But that's how the Pirate Friday theme came about, and it stuck. And when I asked my then 4-year-old at the time what he wanted to go to the festival as, he chose pirates. Now, the video part that is coming up with me sewing the pirate costumes, I had a very short window in which to create these costumes before the festival. I think, thinking back on it, I think I had like 3 or 4 days, less than a week, to create these pirate costumes. And I decided to create myself a corset, and my son created his pirate vest. So yeah, I'm going to walk you through the sewing of that. Enjoy past me chatting to you, and I'll see you in a bit. I've started making a mock-up of the red threaded 1780s stays. I've made I forgot what these are called, it doesn't matter. I made these so that I don't have to like do the boning and the grommets on every single piece of stays. I thought I would do a mock-up because I've not made this pattern before, and even though I'm really short on time, I really want the fit to be really nice. So I've decided to make a mock-up. I've already cut out all of my pieces and I've sewn a chunk of things together. However, what I didn't realize, so this is the front and the side piece sewn together, the lining. I put my boning markings on the wrong side. So that's great. So I'm going to just try to remark them out while it's sewn together. And I do actually need to make a couple of adjustments because the grommets that I have are slightly larger than the pattern. So if I sew my boning channels the way that the pattern is marked on here, my grommets aren't going to fit in. Even though like these ones, so this is, my brain is so scattered because I'm so stressed with how much I need to do. This is this spacing according to the red threaded patterns. I don't actually know what size grommet this is, but it was just leftover ones I had from ages ago, and I don't like them because they're so tiny, but they do fit in the red threaded pattern. So I have slightly larger grommets. I have 8mm grommet, so I'm going to move it very slightly on the pattern as I'm marking it, just so I can make sure that my larger grommets fit, because I just don't want to run into issues. I don't have time for issues. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to mark out the new channels on the mock-up. I'm going to stitch together the mock-up and test fit it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it all works out. That took like an embarrassingly long time to mark out the boning channels on just the front and the side pieces and sew the channels. I'm only 45 minutes into today and I'm panicking a lot, but it's fine. Okay, we're gonna get it done. Okay, we're at the point where all of the boning channels are sewn in and it's like a piece. And I feel like it's gonna look good. So I am gonna sew the lacing strips in, and then I'm gonna slot some boning in and see what the fit is like, and hopefully it fits. And I don't have to make any adjustments. That would be the dream. My hand is so sore from cutting out all this boning. I've got the front and the sides done. I just have the back left to do. It's 12 o'clock. I'm gonna have a break, rest my hand, go have some lunch, and I'll come back at it later today. All of the boning channels are in. I'm just gonna check some YouTube videos just to see what the next step is, because the instructions on the pattern I'm not processing them. So I've been watching different YouTube videos, which I'll link all of them in the description, of the ones that have helped me make this, if you want to give it a go too.
I'm not actually binding the tabs for this mock-up, just stitching around where such binding would go.
Okay, let's give that a go. The mock-up is ready. I'm gonna try it on. So I've got it on. I haven't seen myself in the mirror yet. I don't have a mirror upstairs, but just like feeling it. So I haven't done the stomacher or anything. And at this point I don't even need a stomacher because, I mean, I'll have a little bit of one, but I think it's too big. There are some fit issues that I don't like. I'm not sure how I'm feeling. I mean, the strap feels okay once I have like an eyelet there to tie. That kind of feels okay. I mean, to be honest, like it does feel comfortable. Like, again, bearing in mind, I haven't really seen myself. Like, obviously there's a gap here in the middle for my stomach, but I do feel like well supported and comfortable. And I'm kind of thinking like, I like being comfortable and I'd like to be comfortable for the festival. I'm gonna go have a look in the mirror because I'm not really sure what's happening up here, but it does look weird looking down. So I'm gonna go have a look in a mirror and come back. Okay, I've had a good look in the mirror, and I think, given my time constraints, I think I'm happy enough. I was in between sizes on the pattern, and I watched loads of YouTube videos of other people making these stays, and I did size down. It's still too big. So I think, what am I gonna do? But at the same time, like, I'm in between sizes. So right now with it fully closed, it's a little bit uncomfortable on my tummy, but it doesn't feel like it feels okay on my chest. So I wouldn't want to size down even more and have like a huge gap for my tummy. So I really think that this pattern just really requires for my body some more like fine-tuning personal adjustments, which I don't have the experience or the time for to get these costumes done in time for Fantasy Forest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say things are good enough and I'm just going to make my actual corset. This is my fashion fabric for the stays. What I'm going to have on the outside. I was thinking like about the mock-up again. Like, I know the point of a mock-up is to test the fit and make changes that you need to make before you make the real one. Like, I understand that. I just didn't expect the mock-up to take me literally all day, and I only have 2 days. So that's That's why I'm just ignoring some of the things I don't like about it, because I think it's good enough. And I have loads of this fabric, so really if I want to unpick it and do it all again in the future, I can do that. And it's my costume, so don't judge me. Not that you are, but you know, I'm judging myself in my head, so therefore everybody else is judging me. I am at the end of day 2 because I'm just exhausted and I am not nearly as far along as I would hope to be. I have got the main structure of my stays sewn, the boning channels are all in, and I've got some of the bottom boning inserted into it, and I've made some bias binding with like matching fabric to go around the bottom of the tabs. And I think that's where I'm stopping today because it's so hot, and I've been ironing for most of today, and I'm literally I'm melting. So I'm stopping here for today, and I will get this finished tomorrow. So yeah, that's where we're at the end of day 2. See you for day 3. It's day 3. I'm gonna add the binding to the stays. This is the part I'm honestly the most nervous about because I've never added binding around tabs before or done like a tab style corset or set of stays before. So that is my task for today. Let's go. I've pressed the binding down. It's not like great, like it definitely could use improvement, but I think for a first time ever doing like binding tabs, like it's all right, we're gonna get through it. But I have decided, because I did run out of the gold thread that I was using, I'm gonna hand stitch the binding on the back of it just through the lining. So I'm just gonna like pop a movie on or something and do that, hopefully relatively quickly, and then I feel like we're almost there. I may still have to do the top, but I'm confident we're gonna get it done today. We have to. I have to get it done today. The bottom binding is done. I'm gonna go ahead and stick the rest of the bones in, finish at the top, add the straps and the grommets. Oh, we're getting so close. Okay. I'm gonna have to stop here for now because I need to go pick up my son, but I've got half the grommets in, need to do the other half and then add the straps, and then this will be done. I will finish it tonight after my son goes to bed, but this is where I'm at right now, and I'll probably see you for day 4. Okay, future me, back to tell you about my son and his pirate costume. At the time, he didn't go to nursery full time, so he was with me all day on the day that I was trying to create his pirate costume. I really try to involve him in the process of creating costumes, really try to involve him in the process of sewing, because I think it's a really valuable skill to have, and also it's his costume, and I just want him to be a part of the creation of that. The first thing that we did was look at a bunch of pictures of pirates. And from those pictures, he kind of picked out little elements that he liked from those costumes. After that, we kind of went through my fabric stash. We started choosing some things, and he was very adamant that he wanted to be a rainbow pirate. He really loves rainbows. So we kind of decided on a rainbow skull because that is piratey and just really freaking cool. We decided to make a really big one for the back of his vest. Now, this kid's not really big into fancy dress. At least he wasn't when he was 4. He's 5 now and things have changed. He loves fancy dress now. But when he was 4, he wasn't really into it. So when planning this costume, I was trying to come up with like a regular day wear outfit that had pirate elements and themes to it. So we opted for making just like a special pirate vest, and then the clothes underneath that would just be regular shorts and a t-shirt. So my son helped me to iron, draw, and sew the skull onto the back of his vest, and he helped me to stitch it on to the back of the vest as well. Lift that up. Lift it all the way up. And then back down. It's now the day before we leave for the festival, and all I had left to do was to create the pirate hat. I cut out a long strip of this like gold satin fabric that I thought would make like a cool ruffle on top of the pirate hat. I started hand sewing it, but it was like a really big effort because the hat was so thick, and even when like using a thimble, my fingers were hurting and I had like barely even started on the trim. Thankfully, my friend Lauren turned up and she brought her hot glue gun because mine broke a long time ago and I never replaced it. And with our hats finished that afternoon, we spent the rest of the afternoon and the evening packing all of our camping gear, prepping all of that, prepping our food, just generally being really excited. And then what you've all been waiting for, maybe, is the costume reveal. I honestly couldn't believe that I had pulled that off in under a week, making all of that. For the shorter skirts, it's literally just a piece of fabric that on the day of the festival, as we were getting dressed, I just cut holes in the fabric and shoved them up the corsets. Now the review of Fantasy Forest Sudeley. So this review is going to kind of cover 2025 and 2026 and kind of share a bit of like the differences between the years, because Fantasy Forest, for every single year that I've been going, again, this was like my 5th year, every year has gotten better. And they really listen to feedback from the community, which I think is amazing. Every year after the festival, they send out a feedback form, and they really do listen, and I really think that they try really hard. I'm going to kind of break this review down into 2 different sections. I'm going to kind of break it down into the camping part and then the festival itself. And just bearing in mind that I am looking at all of this through the lens of being a parent. So if you're not a parent, it might not all be relevant to you, and it might be a bit of a different experience to somebody who is attending without kids. Let's start with camping. So with camping in 2025, we didn't actually arrive at the campsite until about 5 p.m. and it was absolute chaos. Finding a place to pitch was so difficult, and it was so hot, and because it's so hot and you're walking around with a little kid and there's nobody really there to tell you you can like camp here, like here's a spot for you, you're wandering around the whole campsite, which is massive, trying to find a place to pitch your tent. And you've got a grumbling child, you're tired carrying all your camping stuff around. And I think like in 2025, we just ended up finding a purple shirt volunteer to be like, please just find us somewhere to pitch because I don't know what to do. They were really helpful. They set us up, and in 2025 they had like already reached at 5 p.m. like the boundary of where the campsite was supposed to be, and we were camping outside of that boundary. So I'm not sure, like the tent allocation seemed not great. You would have like one person in a 20-person tent, because Fantasy Forest doesn't they don't ask you about your tent size. They just say one tent per person or group, and you just pitch up wherever you can. So we learned from our mistake, and we arrived at, what time did we get there this year? I think we arrived about 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. in 2026. And again, like, the campsite was quite full already, and we were just like, okay, we roughly know where we want to camp, because we want to camp not by the closest toilets. Don't do that. Camp a bit further out, but still close on one of the main paths. So we found a nice campsite for 2026. I mean, 2025 campsite, like, it wasn't that bad either. Like, it ended up being really nice. What was it? In 2025, there were people still arriving up until like the closing point, which I think is like 10 p.m. And you're still having people to try to pitch up when the campsite's already full. I did notice that in 2026, it didn't seem like there was that big of a problem in 2026. I noticed like a couple of tents pitched outside of the campsite boundary, but for the most part, I think people were more mindful and pitched their tents a lot better in 2026. I don't know if that was because volunteers were more proactive in their involvement in 2026, but I did feel like 26 campsite pitching was a lot smoother. And maybe that's also because we arrived earlier. I really recommend arriving early. And for the toilets, because it's important when you're camping to talk about the toilets. I've been to worse. I've had worse toilet experiences at festivals. 2025 Fantasy Forest, the toilets were pretty grim on the Friday and by the Friday night. And on the Saturday morning, the loos were closed because they were cleaning them. But then it was like, well, now where do we go? Because you're cleaning all of the toilets all at the same time. 2025 toilets are not so great. I mean, it was all right, but not great. 2026, they learned, like, toilets were clean. Every time I went to a toilet in 2026 at the campsite, I felt like it was clean. Now, caveat that with, in the late evenings or very early hours of the morning, they were not as clean. I wouldn't say they were horribly disgusting like I have seen at other festivals, but they weren't as clean. And by the Monday, when you're leaving the campsite, the very first block of toilets as you're going from the campsite to the car parking area, just don't go to those toilets. Take a longer walk and go to different toilets, because those ones, nope. Because everyone's going back and forth with their camp stuff. Everybody's stopping at those 6 toilets, and it's disgusting. Tip that I have learned for children with these toilets. So my son is on the neurodivergent spectrum of things, and the smell of the toilet isn't necessarily the greatest, even if it is clean. Portaloos just don't smell that great. Take Febreze, a sprayable Febreze, because my kid, like, he did not want to even go into the portaloos because of the smell. He had like a big sensory issue with that. So take Febreze. I didn't have Febreze this year. Somebody else very kindly gave me Febreze that they brought, and it worked like magic on my kid. So I will definitely be packing that for next year. So little top tip there. On the other kind of note of kids who are neurodivergent, and this is something that I have feedbacked to Fantasy Forest, is the camping wristbands, or just wristbands in general. They really want you to wear those wristbands. But my kid is 5, and also when he was 4, we had this issue as well. But when he was 4, they kind of allowed us to just hold on to his wristband and just keep it on like my costume and go in and out of the campsite that way. This year, the security were like, he needs to wear it. And I was like, please no. Because he had the biggest meltdown ever on trying to get in because he would not put on this wristband. And eventually a different security person came up and was like, does he have sensory needs? And I was like, yes. And they were like, okay, don't worry, like he doesn't have to wear it. And they brought over scissors and like cut it off of his wrist. And I was able to just put it in his safety lanyard. And just as an aside, since I've already mentioned it, but a safety lanyard, highly recommend having these for kids. It's literally just a lanyard, and inside the lanyard I have my phone number on there, just in case he wanders off, gets lost, and somebody can help him. And as we were leading up to the festival, I was explaining to him, purple shirt people are volunteers. We talked about the animal. 2026 animal was the badger. So we were talking about like, you look for a purple shirt with a badger on it, and that is a safe person you can go to ask for help if you get lost. And you can show them your lanyard, which has my phone number on it. Didn't actually need it, which is great. But yeah, I just put his wristband inside that lanyard for the weekend, because the other issue with the lanyards is they're the type of lanyards that you like tighten but you can't loosen them again. So do you know what children are going to do? There's like a little dangly bit with your wristband. They're going to pull it and it's going to be really tight, and then you're not going to be able to loosen it. So another child, so we went camping with some of my friends and their kids this year, and their 4-year-old tightened it so tight that it was like turning his wrist a different color and his hand a different color. So I had packed scissors and I cut it off of him. But I'm just feedbacking to Fantasy Forest, we really need to sort the kids' wristband issue out. If the concern is that people are just not going to put the wristbands on their kids and give them to other people to come into the campsite, make like kid-specific wristbands. That's my little rant on that. I'm just trying to think if I've got anything else about camping. I mean, camping is really lovely. If you're doing it with kids, I do recommend, maybe if you're trying to save money a little bit from buying food into the festival, like maybe eat your lunch inside the festival and like buy food inside the festival for like your lunch and go back to the tent for your dinner. Just because once you're inside the festival, it's quite big. And if you've made it all the way to the other side of the festival and then it's lunchtime, you don't want to walk all the way back to your campsite and then all the way back out to the festival. So lunch at the festival, or, snacks, whatever, at the festival. And then you could eat your dinner back at the campsite. That's what we did this year. It was, really nice. If you have any camping specific questions regarding Fantasy Forest Sudeley, please pop them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. This is what's off the top of my head at the moment. And now part 2, the festival itself. Like I've said, this is like the 5th year that I've been going. It's magical. It's wonderful. I love this festival so much. Going with a kid is wonderful and challenging at the same time, especially if it's a child who is neurodivergent. There can be a lot of stimulation. And one of the things that I absolutely loved about 2026 Fantasy Forest, I found a calming area. I don't know if it existed in the past 4 or 5 years that I have been, but I found it for 2026, and we spent a significant amount of time in that calming tent. I have feedbacked this to Fantasy Forest, but my only thing that I would love to have is a second calming area on the other side of the festival. So they had the one calming tent, which was great, at the front of the festival. It would be great to have one at the back of the festival as well, so that I don't have to try to get my kid to the opposite end of the festival to the calming tent and never make it and have a meltdown in the middle. But, you know, on the Friday is kind of pirate themed day. That's when we dressed up as our pirates. My son dressed up as a pirate again. It was really lovely. There's lots of music, lots of food, lots of drink on the Friday. This year as well, in 2026, they opened the festival way early. Was it way early? I don't remember. But for campers, you actually get access to the festival before day ticket holders. It's not the whole festival that you get access to as campers. You get access to like this certain area with a stage and food and kind of where the wicker is. And then you get access to the whole festival with everybody else, the day ticket holders, at the same time. 2026, they extended the hours of the Friday and they opened up the whole festival. In previous years, when they opened on the Friday, I think it was like just a certain area that was open. But in 2026, the whole thing was open, which was amazing. And we got to browse all of the stalls, look at all of the things on the Friday. I thought, maybe naively, that on the Friday I could go and look around and see all of the cool things and like kind of plan what I wanted to buy in the festival and then go make my purchases on the Saturday. No. By the Saturday, a lot of the stall holders had already sold out of their stuff. By the Saturday! They were very quickly making more things as fast as they could for certain stall holders. But yeah, if you see something that you really like, just buy it right away. Saturday is like the big day. It's the day that most people tend to go, especially if you're day ticket holders. It is wonderful. There are so many things to do. What is there to do for kids? There are orc boot camp, which in 2025, my son, who was 4 at the time, he was a bit scared of the orcs, even though I had tried to share and show him like little tiny video clips of orcs and explain to him like they're not real, they're just people wearing costumes and masks. And in 25, the orcs were camped right by the entrance to the campers' entrance. So every time we wanted to go to the campsite, we had to walk back and forth by the orcs. And my son was a bit scared of them. But by the end of 2025, by the end of that weekend, he got brave and he went up to the orcs and he was like, "Mummy, you roar at the orcs and then I'll roar at them and we're going to scare them." And I was like, yeah. And then I felt a bit foolish going up to an orc and be like, "Rah!" And bless the orcs, he went back like he was so terrified. My son thought it was hilarious. And then he then roared at the orcs and the orcs were just like, "Ah, it's so scary." And my son just loved it. He lived for it. And yeah, he then at the end of that weekend, 2025, he was like, "Mummy, I'm going to do orc camp next time. I'm going to do it next year. I'm going to be brave." And I was like, great. 2026 rolls around. He's literally been talking about it all year. 2026, the first thing he wants to do, go to orc camp. Orc camp isn't on the Friday, but it is on the Saturday. And we went to the first orc boot camp. He was ready to be in there. And the orcs, like, they're so great with kids. They know that they look scary and they talk to the kids like real people. And they're like, "Hey, you know, we're just a person under here. You know, we might look scary, but we're kind of nice." So it's really lovely that they do that. Every morning when we woke up for Fantasy Forest, both in 2025 and in 2026, the first thing that we had to go and do was get our face painted. My son loves face painting, and in 2025, I really think that like Mel at Face Painting, shout out, she made him want to be a face painter. And he would come at her with like the most random creative face paint ideas, and she'd be like, yeah, okay. And she would do them, and they were great, and he loved them. And when we went back this year in 2026, he remembered her. He's 5. He remembered her. Thank God she was still there. She came back. And we waited specifically for Mel to get his face painted again. And on the Saturday, he went as a green dragon. And I didn't have time to really sew anything for 2026, so it was just a store-bought green dragon costume, but I did make his little arm braces. We tend to spend a significant amount of time in the board game tent. It has such great board games. It is so accessible and inclusive. They have got like wheelchair height tables, wheelchair accessible tables. They have like blind board games, like board games for people who are blind. They have just so many different types of board games. Some of our favorite ones that we played while we were there was the like huge version of Hey, That's My Fish, where you, the person, become the penguins, and it is quite ruthless as a 2-player game. And obviously playing with a child, you have to not be very ruthless. But if you're playing with another adult, it would be so ruthless and competitive. Highly recommend it. I think our top favorite thing from Fantasy Forest, both in 2025 and 2026, for my son was the tomato guy. He is amazing. He's got his own YouTube channel here. I'll link to it below. But he is incredible. He's not like, if you've ever been to some classic Renaissance fairs in the US, historically the tomato guys there are really mean. Like, they're really rude. Like, I have memories from going to the Florida Renaissance Festival as a child and crying leaving the tomato guy because of how rude and horrible he was. And basically they're so nasty to basically get you to be angry to throw tomatoes at them. And I don't like that. And this guy, the OG tomato guy, he's totally different. He's so kind. He's so fun, and he's just like, yeah, come on, throw some tomatoes at me and we'll have a chat while you do it. And he's just really lovely. And we saw him both 2025 and 2026, and he gave my son in 2025 like a little tomato plushie, and literally this kid took it home and was chucking it at me for months until one day we lost it. And he was really sad that we lost it. And then in 2026, the tomato guy remembered us. And I was like, how? He's just got a really great memory. Or he just says that he remembers us. Anyways, but he gave us another tomato plushie, which is really lovely. And now I have been the subject of repeated tomato abuse. So thank you for that. So Tomato Guy is way up there on our top list, and also the wastes are such a cool area of Fantasy Festival. You've got like all of these games that you can play. They've got like skull ring toss, rat toss. What else did they have? They had fishing, they had hook-a-poo, they had tin can limbo, weightlifting, grenades on a spin board, thumb wrestling. They had like, you rip a duck in half and like throw it in these baskets. They just have like all sorts of fun little games, and they're all free to play and do. And the kids love them. I think the Wastes was the most asked for place for us to go. Like, we'd be on the other side of the festival, like, oh mommy, can we go back to the Wastes? Can we go to the Wastes? And I'm like, yeah, it's on the other side of the festival. Okay, let's go. But yeah, the Wastes is brilliant. Really love all of that. And then they also have Witcher Camp, which is really cool for some of the older kids and adults, obviously. But I say older kids because for a lot of the activities there, kids had to be at least, I think it was 6 years and older to do it. So specifically, we were wanting to do the potion making, and I was in 2026 camping with a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 9-year-old. So the 9-year-old could go and do the potion making because she really wanted to do that. My 5-year-old also wanted to really do the potion making, but he wasn't old enough. So he accepted that and was happy to go watch the orcs instead, which was great. But yeah, just bear that in mind that some of the stuff for the kids, they might need to be a little bit older to do, but there are plenty of free things for them to do. The other really big thing that was a huge highlight for the kids and myself this year was trinket trading. So 2026 was the first year that we actually participated in the trinket trading, and we kind of participated by accident. I'd always known that trinket trading was a thing in all of the previous years, but I was like, my son is little, he won't really be into it, and I'm a stressed parent. I don't have time to do trinkets in the lead up. I barely have time to make the costumes. So 2026, we didn't make any trinkets, but somehow these kids ended up leaving the festival with so many trinkets. I think people were just giving out trinkets if they thought like costumes looked really cool, or if like, you know, the kids would often like go up to people and be like, oh, your costume's so amazing, I love your costume. And then like those people would give them a trinket, which was lovely, so amazing. And then the kids started figuring out like what trinket trading was. And they were like, oh, I've got these trinkets and we can go and trade them. And I'm of the opinion, maybe this is a controversial take, but I'm of the opinion that when you receive trinkets, you are also free to retrade the trinkets that you don't really want, or, you know, just don't suit you. I know people have other opinions about retrading trinkets given, but these are kids, and I was like, do what you want with trinkets that you get. So yeah, they were retrading trinkets all throughout the festival, and I think trinket trading was like their number one thing. So much so that we are going to the Fantasy Forest Libertalia in September, and my son is currently making trinkets to trade there. There are also so many amazing costumes at Fantasy Forest. So many people dress up. Please don't feel nervous to dress up. And you can literally be whatever you want. That is what is so brilliant about this place. Like, you can take any original character, you can take any existing character, you can reinterpret characters and just go however you want, however you feel most comfortable, and however you want to express yourself. It is welcome at the festival. And also on the flip side of that, if you don't want to dress up, there are plenty of people who don't dress up. The festival is getting increasingly more popular every year. The past 2 years, I had significant stress in booking tickets because they sell out in literally 10-15 minutes. And I had a lot of stress booking tickets the last 2 years. So I would probably assume that more people than not dress up, because if you're buying tickets that quickly, that far in advance, like, you're into the scene. But yeah, like, I think that's everything I can think of off the top of my head. I was so lucky to capture a few photos this year. My son is a little bit older and he now allows me to have a bit of space to take pictures. So I'm really happy that I got to do that. I got to actually speak to some people, meet some new people, and yeah, it was really lovely. If you have any questions regarding the festival itself, I'm happy to try my best to answer them. And in the meantime, I will see you at Fantasy Forest Libertalia if you're going. I'm only going for the day on Saturday this year. And I will be prioritizing my child and their experience, but I will also bring my camera just in case. And yeah, The next video that I have coming up is going to be making my son's Kraken costume for Libertalia. So stay tuned for that. Hit subscribe. What else do people say at the end of videos? I can't remember. It's been so long since I made videos. Okay. Bye. See you next time.